Welcome back to NFR. Today we have a bracket as big as they come. We have a bracket for crowning the best rap album of all time. And of course, we're joined by a very special guest, Anthony Fantano, in the building. And listen, the way that this worked, we incorporated everyone's taste. So Fantano helped curate the bracket. So did myself and Ant as well. And obviously, this isn't representative of like our top 64 albums of all time. It's just albums that we felt like were fitting for the episode. And Fantano did try to sneak in Certified Lover Boy and a little Pump self-titled, but we had to pump the brakes somewhere.
I have to tell you, no.
We couldn't allow everything in here. You know what I mean?
You know, I appreciate you guys not allowing me to go crazy. You know, keeping me. You're preventing me from destroying myself.
Yes.
Yeah.
So I hope that you appreciate that.
Yeah.
You know,
No,
ultimately.
that's why I come on this show.
Yeah,
you know,
exactly.
For
We
sanity.
shelter you.
Yeah,
We do a lot of sheltering for you.
You do.
That's okay.
Where
We'll
would I
continue to
be?
do so.
But all right, let's hop
Yeah.
into this. So we have what? Two sides. Side A.
Two sides. Okay, so side A, of course, which is the first one. Side B, which is the second. 16 different matchups on each side.
Yes, sir.
As Lou said, a combination of different albums that are regarded based on critical acclaim, based on the community, based on pieces of content that we've done in the past, as to be some of the best that the genre has ever seen. All right? So let's start this off with the first matchup for today. This is going to be the College Dropout versus My Beautiful Dark Twisted Fantasy. The round of the yay. So Fantano, I'm going to bring you in here.
I didn't know there were going to be so many moments where it's just artists against themselves.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's how it's
You
going to
know.
work. And then as the bracket progresses, boom, crazy matchups.
I mean, I'm a college dropout boy. If you couldn't tell from the fit.
There we
Yeah.
go.
Facts.
Boom.
Yeah,
This
honestly,
is
I got,
something he would have worn at the time.
yeah, that's facts. Okay, yeah, College Dropout for sure.
I'll go college as well. Okay, let's keep going on with this. Next one we have on our list is going to be Rodeo by Travis Scott versus 1999 by Joey Badass. Two massive projects for the 2010s decade. One is this wonderful mixtape considered to be one of the best mixtapes of all time. And the other one is regarded as one of the best trap albums of all time. Fantano, where are you going?
It's a crazy matchup.
Vastly different projects too.
Vastly different. And I reviewed both of them very positively too. I think I would go Rodeo though. I think that's the record I come back to more, and I think that's the album that, like, to me aesthetically, I mean, Joey, what he does on that project is great, you know, but to me, like, what Travis did on Rodeo, like, really paved a new way forward, you know, like aesthetically and sonically for the strain of hip hop that, you know, he's known for.
And it's so different from what Joey did, because for Joey it was more of like a revival of boom bap. But
Right.
ultimately, I had Rodeo in my top 10 albums of the 2010s. I didn't have 1999. I know you wanted 99 here, Ant, but I'm siding with Fantans. I'm sorry. I'm doing it.
Rodeo's
Rodeo
going
advances.
through. Okay, so that's going to be the first matchup now for the next round. It's going to be the College Dropout versus Rodeo. Let's keep going on with this next one. Get Rich or Die Trying versus the Black Album. Where are you going?
Both came out in 03.
I'd go the Black Album.
Black Album?
I'm winning the Black Album too, yeah.
I would go
for
Get
sure.
Rich or Die Trying. I guess you guys are just telling me to go fuck myself. So the Black Album is going to be going on. Let's go on to the next matchup. I believe we have here Pinata versus Mad Villainy.
So
Listen,
two
yeah.
Mad Lib projects.
I love Pinata, but again, I don't think there's a competition on this one.
Yeah, like I think Mad Villainy is like maybe
No,
one
I-
of the front runners to win. You know,
You know,
like,
look, I mean, I'm Mad Villainy too, but I do think it is a competition though. Like, you know, the beats are so great on that project, and you know, Freddie's appeal is not the same as Doom's, obviously, but like, there's so many well-written songs on that project. Like Thuggin' is great, and
Shitsville.
Shitsville is
Robes
great.
is incredible too.
And there's so many incredible tracks on that project. Like, you know, Doom and Madlib, their songwriting styles more loose and more abstract and more all over the place. But like Freddie was really forming songs on
Yeah.
that record, forming anthems. you
Probably a
know?
bit more of an entertaining album to listen to as well.
You know, as though I am very Mad Villainy, like the rest of you guys, it's a close race. It's a close
I
race.
agree.
You know, I don't think it's a totally like overshadowed project.
That's true. Yeah, I fucked around there. It's going to be Mad Villainy. to
Mad
lose,
Villainy
right?
was in advance, yeah.
All right, let's go on to the next one. We have Stankonia versus Aquemini. Battle of the Outcast albums.
And I'm more of a Stankonia guy. Yeah.
For what reason?
I think it's a bolder project. You know, I think it's a little more condensed too. You know, I like how sprawling and you know, kind of psychedelic some parts of Aquemini are, but you know, it's Bombs Over Baghdad, man. Like, there's just so many bops on Stankonia, so many crazy
Miss Jackson, yeah.
Yeah, so many crazy singles and anthems, and you know, that's an album where I think like genre wise they really started to like branch out and challenge themselves with like, you know, a lot of sounds that they weren't typically known for.
Yeah, and you could argue
It
that
sounded
like,
amazing.
that was like their most like pop leaning album up to that point. Yet they were still super eccentric in terms of performances. But for myself, I just feel like Aquemini has the higher highs. Looking at the art of storytelling, looking at Return of the G, even them bringing in more live instrumentation and them getting behind the boards themselves to produce a lot. That's just an album that always spoke to me a bit more. I go Aquemini.
I go Aquemini too, and I also think it's like, if you're a fan of AT Aliens, it feels like the complete thought after. You know, where it's like, let's take this to a whole different level. I feel like this is like their GKMC to Pimp A Butterfly sort of situation where it's like you get the first one, which is groundbreaking, and then you get the complete thought right after it. So Aquemini is going to be going through. Next up on this list, this one's interesting. This one's an Anthony Fantano special. Atrocity Exhibition versus LP. Where are you going with this one?
Geez, I would probably go Atrocity Exhibition.
Yeah, same.
Yeah, I'd go
I go Atrocity.
As much as I love
Yeah.
LP, like I think I would go Atrocity Exhibition. It's such a unique, one of a kind album. I can't really name any other hip hop album that sounds like that album and is quite as personally dark as that record is. You know, I mean, like I know, and for good reason. You know, like a lot of Kendrick fans, for example, bring up songs like "You." It's like, oh man, like look how tortured that song is, and you know what that sort of says about his character and that part of his life and what it says story wise. Like Atrocity Exhibition is like an entire album of You. You know,
It's a whole fucking
Yeah,
downward
you're
spiral.
literally
it's a whole
living in Danny
downward, it's a whole
Brown's dark
downward,
psyche. Like,
yeah, it's old downward spiral, and you know, just like way more abrasive and crazy and out of control. So yeah, you know, I would go with that record. Crazy
Atrocity is going to be going through to the next round. Let's keep going on with this next one. Capital Punishment by Big Pun versus Lifestyles of the Poor and Dangers by Big L.
oh, this is tough.
Yeah, this one's a rough one. I feel like Capital Punishment has a bit more of like that shiny factor to it to a certain extent, but the rawness and the rhyme schemes of Big L on Lifestyles, I go Lifestyles on this one. I'm going to be honest with you
Yeah,
guys.
I mean, listen, definitely two of the best, you know, New York lyricists we've ever seen. But for myself, I just feel like with Lifestyles of the Poor and Dangerous, you got anthems and you also got like super lyrical like onslaughts, you know, with songs like No Ends, No Skins and many more. For me, I'm going Big L.
Yeah, no, I agree. I mean, you know, two classic New York lyricists, two both relatively short catalogs, but
Yeah.
I feel like even for what Big L did put out, it stands taller.
Yeah.
Yes, sir. Okay, let's go to the next one. This one's going to be the Slim Shady LP versus the Marshall Mathers LP. Eminem's Grand Entrance. Two albums that formed his career. I go with the Marshall Mathers LP.
Yeah, it's the
though.
Marshall Mathers album.
Yeah, this is an easy one, honestly
is-
speaking.
But if you ask which one I play more, I'd probably go Slim Shady LP. I'm not even going to lie to you guys. I
You
feel like
enjoy it more like as a listen, yeah?
I just go back to more songs like, for example, like Role Model or As the World Turns. Like, I love a lot of, like, there's personal fit. Like, the kid in me goes more to, like, the Slim
But then
Shady
you
LP.
miss Ken Kniff, bro.
Shut
Come
up,
on,
Ken.
what are you going to do
Shut
without
up,
Ken?
From Connecticut.
He's from Connecticut?
Ken Kniff from Connecticut.
That's what he
of course.
says in the sketch.
Yeah,
It's true,
It's
it's
the whole
true,
fucking
yeah.
sketch.
It's
Says in the
true.
sketch.
Wake up, bro.
Yeah.
All right, let's keep going on with this next one. Life After Death by Biggie versus All Eyes on Me by Tupac. Iconic double albums. Where are you going with this one?
I would go with the Tupac on that one.
I'm on All Eyes on
on
Me
that
as well.
specific one.
Not that it matters. I would go Life After Death. I just think the rapping performances are a bit more impressive, but yeah, it's fine.
Yeah, that's a
fair.
toss-up. That's a sort of a toss-up round. That could honestly go either way
Yeah.
any other day. All right, let's keep going on with this. Next one on the list for today. This one's an interesting one. This is going to be The Forever Story by JID versus Sometimes I Might Be Introverted by Little Sims. Two albums
That's
that
a painful.
have defined.
That's a painful matchup.
This is crazy. This is this decade in a matchup. But we did the rankings, and we both, at least for me and Lou, we gave it to Sometimes I Might Be Introverted in our top 10 rap albums of the decade. so far.
right. God.
Maybe Lou changed his mind.
No,
today.
I'm still on Simbi for sure. Two super versatile performances from
I
both
know.
artists too.
And such different albums too.
Yeah.
I mean, I think I'm gonna say JID. I think
Wow.
pound for pound that album just like, you know, it's difficult. I feel like what Sims does on that record, it has more heart. but I feel like there's just like there's more tracks I find myself kind of like going back to and like humming and flows that I have stuck in my head on the Forever Story. You know?
Didn't you give it a light 9?
Yeah, I did.
You
It
gave
was
it a
my rap.
super high
It was my rap album of the year.
Yeah, you gave it a super high review.
Yeah, yeah.
Oh, incredible record all across the board.
But Simbi advances.
Simbi will be advancing.
Which I'm not mad about.
Yeah, either one. I think one of these is actually going to be a dark horse for this bracket. But okay, let's keep going on. Next one, we have Liquid Swords versus Only Built for Cuban Links. 2 solo Wu albums that defined the 90s. Lou, where are you going with this one?
I gotta go Only Built for Cuban Links. I do. I just think the whole cinematic value of like a final heist before they get away and just going to the standout tracks, I value it more than Liquid Swords for sure.
I think I prefer the production on Liquid Swords, but
Yeah.
overall, the performances feel a bit more complete as far as like Only Built for Cuban Links. Like you said, the cinematic value, songs like Knowledge Gods, for example, even Ice Cream, all-time classics. But I could say the same thing for Liquid Swords. Where would you go with this one?
I mean, I think part of me, you know, being like kind of the heady nerd boy rap person that I am is like kind of Liquid Swords leaning.
Yeah.
In most cases. But I mean, as you guys already know, I am simultaneously like a Ghostface fan through and through. And I feel like when he's teamed up with Ray, it's just like another level.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So it would be Cuban
One of the
Links.
best duos ever. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, Cuban Links.
Cuban Links advances. Let's
Fuck
keep
yeah.
going on with this. Next one, The Miseducation of Lauryn Hill versus The Score by the Fugees. This is crazy. This is another crazy matchup. This is not a clear-cut one to me.
No? I would say Miseducation.
Yeah, Miseducation.
I would say it as
pretty
well, but like
clear-cut.
kind of like what your argument was, like with Freddie. Like I don't think this is clear cut, just because you are getting some of Lauryn Hill's
close. It's close.
best ever singing performance on, The Score by the Fugees. Of course, the chemistry with Wyclef Jean. Like, there's a lot that goes on with that album, but it will be The Miseducation. Let's keep going on with this. And next one, we have the Low End Theory versus Midnight Marauders, a massive tribe matchup. Where are you guys going with this one?
Low End Theory.
Like I said, I've said this in other recordings. Midnight Marauders is my personal favorite. What I think is probably the better album, the more groundbreaking album, would have to be the Low End Theory for sure.
Honestly, I don't have a bone to pick here. You could go either way with this matchup, and I actually really don't care. Both of them are wonderful, and like you said, I'd probably go back to Midnight Marauders a bit more, but the Low End Theory was groundbreaking for the genre. Let's keep going on with this. Speaking about groundbreaking albums, The Diary by Scarface versus Black on Both Sides by Mos Def, arguably some of the most underrated and impactful records of the genre. I'll go to Fantano with this one. Where do you want to go?
Run it by me one more time.
What's the matchup?
Yeah.
The Diary by Scarface versus Black on Both Sides by Mos Def.
I would say Black on Both Sides. I feel like it's more vibrant production-wise.
That's true.
And,
you could say that.
you know, in terms of lyrical content, I just feel like I get more out of what Mos Def does. Like, I feel like, we celebrate rappers like Lupe Fiasco, you know what I mean, for obvious reasons. But like, to me, Mos Def is sort of like a pioneer for that sort of thing. And, like rapping about the historical significance and various capacities in which you could view water, for example, is like some crazy shit. I feel like, lyrically he's just a bit more pioneering on that record. And, and that's why I would probably go in that direction.
Yeah,
I'll go the same way.
The songwriting's strong. Like even songs like Hip Hop, Mathematics, Brooklyn, and like him having like topics like how black artists have been historically taken advantage of in the music industry. Like it's really well thought out, and yeah, I think there is a bit more depth than the Diary.
And,
even though I
even
love
has
the album.
a punk rock moment on there that's really entertaining.
Yeah. So Black on Both Sides moves on.
Yes, sir. Let's go on to the next one. It's Dark and Hell is Hot by DMX versus America's Most Wanted by Ice Cube. Two albums that bring a lot of aggressive nature to the table. Very brash, very in your face. I do feel like I prefer the production on It's Dark and Hell is Hot, if I'm being honest with you. I prefer the storytelling cuts off of that album. And overall, I feel like that DMX performance on It's Dark is just top tier. It's one of the best performances by any rapper on any hip-hop album.
Cube I feel like I prefer lyrically, but like also another thing about Hell is Hot that you have to bring up is like I feel like he's just in some pockets of that record very vulnerable.
Yes.
And sort of like really kind of like goes into some dark personal shit on that record and, is confessional in a way that I feel like A lot of rap artists really weren't up until that point, or at least in like the commercial mainstream, So I don't know. That's a really tough matchup. Those are like two records I feel like I appreciate for like way different reasons. Though, on the whole, I feel like your general listener's view of both those albums, like, yeah, those albums are loud and aggressive. And it's like, they are, but like in different ways.
They are, for sure. I feel like, especially with the political messaging within America, is like, it depends what you're going to each album for and what you value. Honestly, another toss-up for me, but I'm still going to go It's Dark and Hell is Hot.
Yeah, I go It's Dark and Hell is Hot. I think that, there's songs in there that you'll still hear in stadiums, but then there's also songs that you can enjoy conceptually, like a Damien, for example, just for the storytelling that's at play. And going back to what you were saying about like the vulnerability, it was also surprising to see that from someone like DMX, just because he had so much machismo,
right?
And
like
was so
the thing is,
bold.
like, it's kind of like the last place you would expect it.
Yeah, exactly.
Which is like why those tracks kind of like hit as hard as they do.
Yeah.
But yeah, I could agree with you guys on that.
All right, there we go.
All right, that's going to be advancing.
So side B. No, we have one
last
more.
last matchup for side A, Illmatic versus It Was Written.
You're a big It Was Written defender, so I want to hear from you first.
Well, no, I'm going to go Illmatic here,
Okay.
but I think It Was Written is a lot closer than people make it seem, to a certain extent. Like, I get it, I understand how revolutionary Illmatic was, and songs like Halftime, songs like New York State of Mind, of course, like, you have full of wonderful records on that track list, but at the same time, like, the replay value of It Was Written, like, I visit more It Was Written than I do Illmatic. So if this was a personal, like, taste sort of list, what do I play more in my rotation? I would go It Was Written, but for the sake of the bracket, Illmatic, the influence, the production styles, the young Nas, like, everything considered, it's going to be advancing for me.
Okay.
Yeah.
We're good? All right, let's move on to... Oh, I thought someone said something in the background. All right, let's continue going on now to side B. This one's interesting. We have 36 Chambers versus Straight Outta Compton, two iconic group albums. Where are you going with this one?
I'm 36 Chambers all the
All
way.
the way.
All the way.
36 Chambers is going through. No conversation needed.
Some of the best recorded ciphers ever.
Okay, let's keep going on with this. Next one, The Infamous by Mobb Deep versus Paul's Boutique by Beastie Boys. Two albums that are extremely sample heavy, especially Paul's Boutique, revolutionary for the sample game and for hip hop as a whole. I know you really value this album, Anthony. So
I do, and I just reviewed The Infamous 2 for Classics Week.
Sure.
Which, I mean, having that album so fresh in my mind, it does give you like new appreciation for it. But yeah, I mean, I've reviewed both. I know which one I have more fun listening to, and that's the Beastie Boys album. But I mean, that album's like geared to be a good time.
Yeah,
you know
for
what I
sure.
mean? But it's not quite as thought provoking, as like The Infamous is.
I think there's solid writing on Paul's Boutique, but I just feel like
It's a bit more loose. It's fun, it's silly,
but it's the
different.
production that really makes that album what it is.
It does.
And like having all those samples and for how cheap they got them at too. Like, you can't find a record like that, but it's going to be The Infamous every single day of the week.
Yeah.
All right, let's continue on with this. I just got to write this in. Next matchup on the list for today. Oh, this one's interesting. It's going to be Daytona versus Hell Hath No Fury by Clips. The Pusha T round. But Daytona for me. Modern day classic.
Oh, Hell Hath No Fury.
Oh, really?
Yes.
For what reason?
I mean, the production is better.
Oh, I don't know.
Also,
Fantano.
like, I feel like, as much as I love Pusha T solo, like, the way he teams up with his brother, they're like a friggin', they're just a well-oiled machine. Like, lyrically speaking, the way they bounce off of each other, the chemistry is just crazy.
I feel like Daytona's a lot more focused as an album. I prefer the Kanye production on Daytona over the Clips production, but that again is a toss-up. Depends who you ask. And I just think you're getting better rapping performance out of Pusha T, for example. Like,
Really?
Yeah, on songs like Santeria, for example. Or if you know, like, these are all-time rapping performances out of his catalog. So I'm going Daytona on this. This was clear to me.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like for myself, like, Daytona's just always been the more inviting album just because of that short length coming
More
in at
inviting?
7 tracks.
Hell
For
Hath No
me,
Fury
yeah.
isn't even that long.
It's not that long. I'm just saying 7
10
tracks,
songs?
all killer tracks
I
from
feel
start to
like
finish.
I feel like that's to its detriment, though. Like, look, I
Whoa,
love
how?
I like the brevity of it, but the thing is, like, you're getting more of everything from Hell Hath No Fury. You're getting more sustenance. You're
Having
getting more of
Malice
everything.
team up with Push obviously adds a lot, but
Yeah, and obviously like way more bangers on there. You know, I feel like Daytona is cool. It's a more cerebral album. You know, to me, Hell Hath No Fury is like, you know,
It's
a
a fun
party.
one.
It's like, you know, it's a jubilee. It's fireworks going off.
Yeah.
You know, and it's got, you know, pockets where it's grimy and aggressive, and it's got pockets, you know, like Dirty Money, where it's just like, you know, club bops and so on and so forth. You're just covering so many bases.
Yeah.
I mean, Daytona's more focused for sure, you know,
It is.
and I do feel like lyrically Pusha's in definitely like a different vibe in Elaine solo than he is when he's, you
With
know,
his brother.
with his brother. But I don't know. I like Hell Hath No Fury more.
it's valid. But
It's
I
valid.
go Daytona here.
No, sir, not today.
I
Fantano.
think it's a masterpiece.
not
but
today. All right, The Blueprint versus Reasonable Doubt. That's gonna be the next one
Blueprint
Blueprint
all
easy?
day.
Yeah, Blueprint.
for sure. All right, let me put that in.
Okay.
Next matchup on the list for today. This one's another interesting one. The Money Store by Death Grips versus By the Time I Get to Phoenix by Injury Reserve.
Geez, that's a good couple of picks. I think I would probably go The Money Store though.
You know what? I'm gonna come in here and make Ann decide, because I'm gonna go By the Time I Get to Phoenix. Just because, listen, I know that the Money Store was revolutionary. It was groundbreaking for experimental hip hop. I can't.
They both are. They both
yeah,
are. They both are. Because what other hip hop album sounds like By the Time I Get to Phoenix?
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
I know. And like songs like Top Picks for You, like just
Right.
exploring that haunting paradox of like losing someone close to you, but having the algorithm and technology sort of like keep their memory alive, and having to cope with all of that, and, you know, have their absence sort of brought to you in this strange way in the new world. Like, it's super great records, and a beautiful goodbye record to Grogs. But yeah, I find myself finding more value out of that track, 'cause I feel like it's a journey, that album.
I prefer the production on the Money Store. Sorry, not the. I prefer the writing on the Money Store. We were just talking about it in an episode that we just recorded. But I will say this: I do feel like By the Time I Get to Phoenix is probably a bit more of a complete record, like the song concepts that you were talking about, Lou. Even the production. Like,
Yeah, it's definitely more of a concept.
it is a bit more of a concept and a bit more focused. I feel like as a record, but the Money Store is just a.
So where are you going? You seem kind of in the middle here.
Where you going?
What's it gonna be?
Fuck it, Fantano wins on this one. Money Store.
Money
wins.
Store.
Yeah.
There we go.
There
Okay,
we
let's
have
keep
it.
going on with this. Next matchup for this next. Hold on. where we
I
at?
got it. Next up, we have Scaring the
Yeah.
Hose by JPEG and Danny Brown versus Most Def and Talib Kweli or Blackstar.
Oh, Jesus Christ.
Two collab albums.
Oh my God.
They don't really have much else in common with each other besides them being collab albums,
it's
but
collaborations.
fuck it, we ball.
I feel like I'd probably go Black Star, and maybe that has more to do with my age, but I would probably go Black Star.
Yeah, I mean, listen, I think Scaring the Hose is maybe a bit zanier, a bit more unique in sound, like something that you can't really, pin to anything else besides JPEG and Danny's own catalogs. But yeah, I just think from a songwriting point of view, a rapping point of view, I go Blackstar.
I go Blackstar as well. All right, let's go on to the next one. It's gonna be Ready to Die by Biggie versus Doggy Style
Ready
by
to Die.
Snoop Dogg.
Ready to die.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, fuck it,
It's
we
that
both.
dog-
Doggy
quick.
Style's great, but that's a tough matchup.
Yeah.
Did you just say that because we went so quick, or is it actually a tough matchup?
No, I mean it's tough to match against.
Yes.
It's tough. It's tough for Doggy Style.
Yeah.
is what I was
I
saying.
just got fucking clapped out of
Yeah.
nowhere. All right, let's keep going on with this next one. Strictly Business by EPMD versus It Takes a Nation of Millions to Hold Us Back by Public Enemy. I'll go It Takes a Nation.
Takes a Nation.
Yeah, me too.
I like Strictly Business and what they did on there, but I don't think...
Well, it's also a bit more of like a loose and free feel sort of album in comparison to It Takes a Nation. The writing's much better on It Takes a Nation,
Yeah.
that's for sure. Okay, let's keep going on with this. Supreme Clientele by Ghostface Killah versus Me Against the World by Tupac. Me Against the World for sure. Top 10 rap album of all time, in my opinion.
Oh, it's tough. That is tough.
Is the GFK bias going to come out of
I'm
here?
going to say GFK. I have a
Yeah,
GFK
for sure.
bias. Sorry.
Man. two totally different albums, right? Like one
Right.
having way
It's
more
very different albums.
substance and like I feel like maybe real world impact in terms of the messaging, whereas the other one stylistically is just
Yeah, I mean, I like even with my choice, I acknowledge like the Tupac album has way more impact.
yeah,
Like
for
in
sure,
a million
for
different
sure.
ways than Supreme Clientele. But like, which one do I find myself just like listening to more and enjoying personally more? I figure with the three of us here, I'll kind of like making these choices. I'm going to go with more of my personal preferences
Yeah.
in a lot of these picks, and that would be my personal preference.
Yeah, man. Like songs like One, the fucking vocal sample on that shit.
Right.
Wow. And we already have a Tupac album that advanced. We're giving it to GFK. Fuck it.
All right, Supreme Clientele is going to be going through next matchup on this list. We're just ripping through these. Below the Heavens by Blue and Exile versus Bizarre Ride 2 by the Far Side. Bizarre Ride 2, the Far Side by the Far Side. I got my notes fucked up here, but yeah, where are you guys going on this one?
I mean, they're both West Coast hip hop albums, but don't really have much more in common beyond that.
Yeah.
I like the Far Side record for its kind of like alternative trippy vibes.
Yeah.
But I mean, Below the Heavens is like, really kind of like essential West Coast 2000s backpack shit. And is just like I think like a superior, probably lyrical performance from Blue on that one. The production's just like, awesome for its time as well. I'd probably go more Below the Heavens.
I'm gonna go Below the Heavens too. Yeah. It's just
Below the
like-
Heavens for sure.
It's soul heaven for sure.
All right, let's keep going on with this. Next one, this is going to be Things Fall Apart by The Roots versus 3 Feet High and Rising by De La Soul. Two albums that defined an era.
Different eras though, and different vibes.
Yeah. 80s and 90s.
I think I'd probably go De La Soul.
You're gonna go De La Soul?
I have more fun listening to that album, and I just find like, just like with the Beastie Boys, Paul's Boutique, mentioned that we were talking about earlier. I just think the sampling on that record is crazy and super creative, and the lyrical chemistry throughout that album, and to me the sense of humor is just like bar none, on that record.
Yeah, no,
For sure.
it's just
Super
a super
entertaining
fun album for sure.
Really entertaining.
I don't know, man.
It
What are
depends
you
what you
saying,
like.
Ant?
I'm going Things Fall Apart. I
Going
prefer
Things
the
Fall
production
Apart?
over it. The live instrumentation is
Yeah, and
incredible. And
I think that album was really cool because it kind of felt like a coming out party for like the Soulquarians, right? Because you had like Erykah Badu on there, you had Mos Def on there, and it was just a great marriage of like just like neo soul and hip hop. I'm gonna go Things Fall Apart. I know that might be crazy to some people because 3 Feet High and Rising is so highly regarded, but yeah.
so is Things Fall Apart, though.
Yeah.
I don't think it's a bad
Okay.
take. Either way you go on this. But that's going to be the case for most of these matchups. Like,
Yeah, it's the
This
fucking
is
greatest ever. What
for
are you
sure.
gonna do?
all right, let's go on to the next one. Paid in Full by Eric B. and Rakim versus Moment of Truth by Gangstar.
So yeah, Paid in Full, it's the case where it's like, do I love listening to the album and do I listen to it often? No, but you wouldn't have so many other influential MCs if it wasn't for the way that they, Rakim revolutionized flow and rhyme schemes on that album. Like, it's an important album. Do I think it's better or more enjoyable than Moment of Truth by Gangstar?
No.
For me, no.
No, I'm going to do this. I'm going to be the same vibe with you. Even the Guru rapping on Moment of Truth, the records that came out of that track list, the premiere, production, one of the best produced albums of the 90s. I will say that. I'm going Moment of Truth on this one. I'm going to be honest.
I think I'm just on some old head shit, but I'm going to go Eric B. and Rakim. To me, I feel like his rapping is just amazing on that album, especially for that time period. It's just great. And, the beats are definitely like rudimentary, I mean, I feel like that's kind of like part of the course of the era. But I mean, even the instrumentals were advanced for the time that they were coming out. And I just think the album's like, very fun to listen to. And definitely like a precursor for, a lot of like bouncy, creative, forward thinking hip hop that came down the road. Like, I don't know, Cool Kids, stuff like that. It's just the power of that kind of like, monotone delivery, and kind of like locking into the flow. I feel like that album kind of defined that in a really important way.
Okay, so I believe we're going to be going with Moment of Truth, right? 'Cause
Yeah.
I want to go there.
Yeah.
All right, let's go on to the next matchup. This is going to be a crazy one.
Yeah.
We have Food and Liquor by Lupe Fiasco versus like Water for Chocolate by Common. amazing albums, classics here. Where are you guys going?
What do you guys think is Common's best album? Is it like Water for Chocolate or is it B?
Better written album, probably like Water for Chocolate, but most enjoyable for me is B.
Yeah, I think there's kind of like a more kind of I think B's a little more palatable, you know, like a better intro gateway album.
Yeah.
To Common, whereas like for general music listeners, whereas like, you know, Water for Chocolate's really like the hip hop head kind of record.
Oh, for sure.
But with that being said, I'd probably go Lupe on that one.
Food and Liquor?
I go Lupe as well.
I'll go Food and Liquor as well, for sure. Okay, let's keep going on with this. Next matchup, I believe we are at the Minstrel Show by Little Brother versus the documentary by The Game. This is a crazy matchup. It depends what you're fucking with, right? Like, one feels a bit more like bouncier, has that West Coast classic Dr. Dre production. The other one's a bit more somber in production style, but where do you go with this one, Lou?
It's tough. I mean, this is one where I get enjoyment out of both albums for sure. I play maybe a bit more of the documentary just because, you know, you're getting fucking knocking Dr. Dre production and just super anthemic West Coast songs from The Game and the collabs with 50 Cent were all fire. So I love that album. But that being said, the Minstrel Show just has incredible, you know, mid-tempo soul beats from Ninth Wonder, and I love what Fonte and Big Pooh brought to the table, and even just like the concept of it being a variety show and like just the historical background of, you know, what a minstrel show is and how they sort of twisted it and sort of like flipped the script on different stereotypes. I think it's a genius work of art that not many people recognize when it comes to just like hip hop discourse, and fuck it, I'm going the Minstrel Show.
Yeah, I would go Little Brother too.
Gonna go Little Brother? Yeah. Okay, perfect.
Where would you have gone though?
I went with the documentary.
Okay.
But the Minstrel Show is going to be going through. Next up on the list, this is going to be almost the end. This is going to decide the final matchup of round 2 for the next segment. 2001 versus The Chronic by Dr. Dre. You know, two masterpieces in my opinion. The Chronic came out at a pivotal time, influenced G-Funk, practically birthed that entire genre. And then 2001 just sounds like the Rolls Royce of hip-hop albums.
Right.
That's the best way that I could put it. My favorite personal hip-hop album of all time is 2001, and that's where I'm going to go. I'm going to go 2001 on this one.
What are you going with?
What are you going with?
I'd probably go with The Chronic.
Yeah, the old head's going to come back in?
Yeah.
I figured, though.
Yeah.
That's okay.
I'm going 2001. I have
Yeah.
to. Just man, the way, how polished the production sounds. The way that they replayed all of the beats from like the original samples. Man, it's perfection.
Do you think the track list is as strong from front to back?
Oh, for sure. Forgot about
100%.
Dre. The next episode, still Dre. The Watcher, you know. What's the
Act
difference? Act Right, Housewife, Lightspeed.
Naming the whole track list at this point.
The Message, Bag. Yeah.
Okay.
There we go. All right, 2001 advances. Last one for round 1. GKMC versus the Pimp A Butterfly. I go T-Pab for sure.
I have Good Kid, Mad City, but I know you guys are going to Butterfly, and I respect it. Like they're both perfect albums to me, so I'm good with it.
I'm going T-Pab,
There we go.
obviously.
Yeah, you just
There we
got
go.
just got wrecked by 2 Anthonys. How does that feel?
The Anthony's teamed up.
There we go.
There you have it. So that's the end of round 1.
Let's go on to round 2 now. This one's interesting. The College Dropout versus Rodeo.
Dropout.
Yeah, the Rodeo's gonna have to take a hike.
That's
Take
super
a hike,
easy.
Rodeo. Okay, let's go on to the next one. The Black Album versus Mad Villainy. This one's stupid. This is a stupid matchup. That's a stupid matchup.
Oh my god.
Yeah,
I'm
that is a
going,
weird
I'm going
one.
Mad Villainy, Mad Villainy, Mad Villainy.
How do you even compare these two fucking
I don't-
albums?
I don't
though?
know.
Like,
I
we're gonna
don't
reach
know.
that point in the episode now where it's like,
Yeah.
how?
I prefer the
know,
production on the Black Album. I'm gonna be honest with you.
Wow.
I think
Really?
I think the highs are higher on the Black Album.
But
I'm
think
gonna be
about
honest with
like, listen, I agree that the production is fucking incredible, but where else are you gonna find a beat like accordion? Like, what other artist is
you.
gonna?
Where else are you gonna find a sample flip like Lucifer?
It's not to say that like it's a huge differentiation from the types of like flips you would hear on like the Blueprint. Like,
Yeah, but you've also gotten those types of flips from like Madlib throughout his entire catalog. I'm just saying, like, I understand the abstract sampling, but it's not like I'm watching the fucking second coming of hip hop. Like, bro,
I'm wing Mad Villainy. I'll just shut you up with that.
Damn.
what's wrong with you?
There you go.
Lou put on his glasses today. All right, let's keep going on with this one. Aquemini versus Atrocity. Listen, Danny Brown's spiraling drug addiction takes a full flight on the 2016 Atrocity exhibition, but it's not better than Aquemini.
Yeah, I think it's the end of Danny Brown's bender here. We're gonna have to put it to
Yeah,
an
I
end.
mean, you know, as easy as I know you guys went in the other direction, but as easy as a decision it is for me between Stankonia and Aquemini. Aquemini is still an amazing record. You know, I still hold it in super high regard, and I go with that album.
You're gonna go Aquemini?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
There we go.
Is what I'm saying. Like, you know, it's still an amazing record. You know, I'm
It
not
absolutely
taking away
is.
from it at all.
All right, let's keep going on with this one. Lifestyles versus the Marshall Mathers LP. I love Lifestyles, but this is where it's gonna have to go. Marshall Mathers LP.
Yeah,
is
Marshall
gonna
Mathers LP advances here.
Yeah.
Hires are high, and
Yeah, the
production
it's-
overall is much better.
Lyrically, it's just such a creative feat. You know, like, I mean, so many genre-defining songs
Very true.
on that album.
Okay, let's keep going on with this next one. All Eyes on Me versus Simbi. No, it's All Eyes on Me.
You know, I'm just gonna try to be different. I'm gonna say Simbi. Just in this, even though I would have gone JID earlier, I'm just gonna say Simbi just to be different.
Oh man.
Don't fucking do this, Lou. Don't do
Oh,
that.
what, are you thinking about it?
No,
Are you
there's
thinking
no
about
songs on Simbi that hit like Ambitions Zoraida. I'm sorry.
Don't do this.
Not for me. All eyes on me.
Yeah, it has to
All
go
eyes
for
on me.
Yeah.
All right, let's keep going on with this next one. Only Built for Cuban Links versus the Miseducation of Lauryn Hill. You see, this one's a close one.
Yeah, it is.
This one's a close one.
And yeah, I mean, listen, with Miseducation, I feel like it's maybe slightly less of a hip hop album in terms of like how many like soul and R&B records you have throughout it. There's like less rapping performances on it, and this is a hip hop rap album bracket. So
But
is
you
that
put
gonna-
it in the bracket though.
We did put it in.
So
It isn't.
so base it on the quality. Base it on the you
Miseducation.
put
Yeah,
it
put
in
him
the
in your-
list.
put him in his fucking place.
So
Tell him.
Miseducation.
You put it in the list. I would say Miseducation too.
Miseducation shall be advancing. Let's keep going on with this. Okay, hold on. You see, Anthony has to engage in our type of banter sometimes on the show.
All right. Next up, we have
The low end theory versus Black on Both Sides. That is ridiculous. That is a ridiculous matchup.
I mean, even Mos Def would tell you it's the low end. Theory.
Yeah,
like
literally.
Would he though?
I think he would.
I don't know. If you seen Bay was standing in the corner of the room,
You think he'd be like, "Fuck them. I made the better album. I improved on the form."
But you see, but this is not a far matchup, bro. Like for sure not.
it's not a fair matchup. You said.
No, I said it's not a far matchup.
Oh no, yeah. I mean,
Yeah.
listen. Obviously, like it's you could argue that like most Def's lyrics have more like depth, I guess. But that being said, where are you gonna find vibes like fucking verses from the abstract and shit?
Okay,
like,
we get it, bro. Okay, let's keep going on with this next one. It's Dark and Hell is Hot versus Illmatic. I love
Illmatic.
it's Dark and Hell is Hot, but Illmatic for sure.
Yeah. No, Illmatic, clearly.
All right. Let's go on to the next side of round 2. This one is going to be 36 Chambers versus The Infamous.
Oh, it's 36 Chambers.
Yeah,
It's crazy.
yeah. No, it is. Well, you're debating that?
Depends the morning. Depends the morning. Come on.
It's
Especially
Shook
you,
Ones,
like,
Shook
you-
Ones Part 2, Survival of the Fittest. I know.
I mean, for me, preference-wise, it's easy, but it's still close.
Yeah.
It's a close
Yeah.
matchup. You know, I mean, it's like, you know, both records have great lyricism and an eerie atmosphere, and you know, you could advocate that with there being less personnel to bounce between on the Infamous, there's like more of a vibe and more of a focus on terms of like what the core lyrical identity of the album is.
For sure.
You know, whereas like, you know, 36 Chambers feels more like a competition. Everybody's there to sort of like outdo each other.
like a soup.
You know what I mean? Yeah,
like a
exactly.
soup.
You
Just
know
a
what I
bunch of
mean?
different ingredients in like one melting pot.
And yeah, and
So-
to get that many rappers like share a collective vision for an album, like that's tough to accomplish too. And they did that. Even the kung fu samples and shit, like just insane.
No, I mean, look, it's way more consistent than an album with that many guys should be.
Yeah.
You know, for sure. But you know, the thing is, like, the thing about the Infamous is that it's a well-oiled machine. You know, it's very much a well-oiled machine of an album.
It feels more polished for sure.
Yeah.
Absolutely. But yeah, 36 Chambers is going to be advancing.
It's a front runner anyways, so like,
Yeah.
it makes sense.
Next one, Daytona versus The Blueprint. Easy money.
Blueprint all
Blueprint
day,
all
right?
day. Yeah.
You guys just throw Daytona out after
After all of that.
you know, honestly, like Blueprint and Hell Hath No Fury. That's a
No.
matchup I would think about. I would think about.
And
that
where would you
one.
go?
I would have to think about it. I'd have to think about it. Meanwhile, you guys, throw Daytona out After you
I don't wanna
advocated
play
for it so
5-minute
hard.
debate.
I don't want to play with you no more. You know, like that Andy. I don't want you in this
It can only
bracket
go so
anymore.
far.
Okay, Money Store versus Black Star. Money Store. It's time to take a hike, bro.
It's tough for me. It's tough for me. I love Black Star. It's like one of my favorite rap records of the 2000s. But the Money Store is a mind-blowing album. And, you know, really sort of like reset the tone for industrial hip hop and experimental hip hop, period. I'm just gonna say the Money Store. I'm gonna say the Money Store.
Okay, let's bounce.
Black Star,
Yeah,
yeah.
let's just get it out of here.
It's time.
It was a good explanation, though. I'll give you that. All right, let's keep going on with this next one. I believe we are at Ready to Die versus It Takes a Nation. Ready to Die.
Yeah,
You have It Takes a Nation for sure.
yeah. I'm just gonna say it as a preference. Yeah, I'm gonna say
Yeah.
It Takes a Nation.
I have Ready to Die here.
Yeah,
I have Ready to
probably.
Die as well.
I figured.
This is the young people speaking, even though we're speaking about 90s albums.
I know.
All right, Supreme Clientele versus Below the Heavens. Blue's going to have to take a
Supreme
look.
Clientele.
Supreme Clientele.
Sorry, Blue.
Easy.
Sorry.
Supreme Clientele.
Throwing it away just like that.
Boom.
Another
Next
throwaway.
one, Things Fall Apart versus Moment of Truth.
Good matchup. Wow.
That is a
I have to
crazy
think
matchup.
about this one.
Okay, rapping performance for rapping performance. Black Thought over Guru.
Yeah.
Production for production.
wise,
I
I'm
take
gonna go with
each-
Things Fall Apart.
yeah, it's Things Fall Apart. Yeah.
I guess my opinion doesn't fucking matter. Let's go.
No, we don't care.
Things
Move on.
Fall Apart moves on. All right, let's get on to this last matchup now for round 3. So this is gonna be the last matchup in round 3. I should would have worded that better. Food and Liquor versus the Minstrel Show. That's another big
Food
matchup.
and Liquor.
Food and liquor, though. Food and liquor.
You guys see that's gonna be a dark horse here, where it's just gonna start steaming.
Hurt Me Soul, bro. Like the even the deep cuts on that album are serious.
Very true. Okay, 2001 versus T-Pab. I'll go to Pimp A Butterfly.
Yeah, me too.
Yeah, for
To
sure.
Pimp a Butterfly.
So does that conclude?
Concloud.
Does that conclude round 2?
That concludes round 2. We are officially in the round of 16. Let's get to this. The College Dropout versus Mad Villainy. That's a crazy fucking matchup.
Battle of 2004, same year.
Right.
I know where you're going.
I don't know if you know.
I know.
I don't know if you know.
Would these both be 10s for you? Let me ask you that.
Yeah,
They
yeah,
would, eh?
no, most definitely. But
Yeah.
for like totally different reasons. You know what I mean? Like I feel like Mad Villainy, by comparison, is a more cerebral album, and College Dropout is just like more
Soulful
just the
hip-hop.
explosion. You know, it's like so many different sounds and flavors, and it's covering so many different bases. And it's soul, it's pop, it's gospel. It's also like, you know, very funny and silly and lighthearted. You know, the Doom album can be kind of grim, you know, sometimes.
I know where you're going. You're not going to fool me.
When do you guys have to go first?
Yeah.
The glasses are staying on for this one. No, I'm winning College Dropout. I'll just say it.
You're on College Dropout.
I am.
Okay,
I am.
damn. You're not going to say anything until I say something.
I'm going to let you do it.
All right, I'm going to say Mad Villain.
Yeah.
Going to College Dropout.
There we go.
I knew off the bat. Mad Villainy, we don't want you here anymore. Let's keep going on with this. Aquemini versus the Marshall Mathers LP. I love Aquemini, but I think it's time for it to walk.
Yeah, I think so too.
No, screw you. Aquemini.
Aquemini were Marshall
Aquemini.
Mathers LP?
Yeah.
It doesn't matter. The Marshall Mathers LP is going to walk. All right, let's keep going on with this. All Eyes on Me versus the Miseducation of Lauryn Hill.
Miseducation.
This is a crazy matchup as well.
Yeah, Miseducation.
I would go All Eyes on Me. Better
That's
rapping
fine.
performances. I prefer the production on
Look at what
All Eyes on
Lauren
Me.
did on Lost Ones, man. The flow
Look what
she was
Tupac
hitting
did on
that,
Ambitions as a
like-
Writer.
I know.
No More Pain. Only God Can Judge Me. Scandalous. I could go
Just
on.
kidding. You're getting some of the smoothest vocals over like fucking Carlos Santana.
Bro, you
riffs,
got,
like, it's-
you got
it's
Tupac
pretty
fresh out of
nuts.
jail. It's pretty crazy. I get it though.
Nah, man,
I
it's,
understand. Honestly, I don't give a fuck either way. It's a W in my books.
Miseducation.
Miseducation goes through.
Mixed to the quarters.
The Low End Theory versus Illmatic.
Wow, this is
Illmatic.
going to be good. This is going to be a good matchup. Listen, I've said this before.
Okay, hold on. I'm gonna pause you. I wrote down what I think is gonna advance, and I don't know any of your answers. I have it here.
Low End Theory.
Illmatic.
Why?
Why?
Yeah, why?
Oh, I just think the charisma on that record is just so, it's so charismatic, it's so funny, it's so witty. I mean, look, Illmatic's a great record. It's a classic record, and I feel like it's definitely like of a time and of an era, But and it definitely sort of like sets the tone for New York hip hop in a way that very few albums do. I just like the fun, vibrant kind of creativity of just like that native tongues type of sound.
Honestly, that's fair though. Both top 10 albums of all time in my book.
Yeah, and I think I get what you're saying in the sense that like you can definitely get more of like an uplifting vibe out of the Low End Theory.
Also,
whereas
Scenario,
like,
one of the best Busta Rhymes features of all time.
Of all fucking time, I know, but you also have AZ on Life's a Bitch. All right? Let's not forget how timeless that one is, and the world is yours. Like, it's
Illmatic
just,
goes.
Yeah, it's
Illmatic advance for sure. 36 Chambers versus the Blueprint. I go the Blueprint.
I go
over 36 chambers?
Blueprint over 36.
I go
I go
36
chambers.
36
Yeah.
Chambers goes through. I'll go fuck myself. Next one. This is going to be Black Star versus Ready to Die. Ready to Die.
Ready to
for
Die.
sure.
Ready to
Yeah.
Die. Yeah.
Okay. Okay, so listen, we have a bit of disagreement. We have some teaming up going on. I don't know what's going on here, but Supreme Clientele versus Things Fall Apart. Is the GFK bias going to hit once again for Mr. Fantano?
It is. It is. It's going to hit once again. It's going to hit.
Fantano wakes up and bumps GFK every morning.
Supreme Clientele, let's go.
Yeah, it's for sure going to be Supreme Clientele. Yeah, for you, I thought you'd probably go Things Fall Apart.
It's just it's the standout tracks. Like this is one where I'm really looking at like song for song and like looking at, like I said, Nutmeg and One and Apollo Kids. Like,
Okay, Food and Liquor versus the Pimp A Butterfly.
Crack in those beats. What?
Food and Liquor versus T-Pab.
T-Pab.
For sure.
Yeah.
Sorry.
No
Lupe.
doubt.
Didn't even let him
All
finish before he just fucking.
Okay, let's go on to the
My
quarterfinals
fingers on
now.
the buzzer.
Bang.
Literally.
The College Dropout versus Marshall
Wait,
Mathers
so
LP.
now we're at the final. We're the final 8 here.
That is correct.
Wow. Okay, let's just do like an overview here. Okay, let's see what's on the table.
Okay, you want to do that?
The College Dropout versus Marshall Mathers LP. Then there's gonna be Miseducation versus Illmatic.
Yes.
Then 36 Chambers versus Ready to Die. And then Supreme Clientele versus T-Pab. Okay.
The GFK bias is going to come to an end very
Okay,
soon.
we'll just see. Just let it rock.
Just let it rip.
Just, yeah.
Okay, College Dropout versus Marshall Mathers LP. Marshall Mathers LP.
Oh, College Dropout.
I'm gonna go College Dropout here, even though you can go either way. I mean, listen, if you're looking at it just from like a rapping perspective, again, Eminem, we know is a better MC. That's not fucking.
There's
not a
so
revelation.
much more going on with the track list in the Marshall Mathers LP. Half of the College Dropout is low-key skits too. I will say that.
There are a lot of skits on it, like all the spirits.
Okay,
shits.
like maybe a lot of the track list, but the runtime's mostly music.
What's a bad song in the Marshall Mathers LP?
Like,
Well,
okay,
let's-
wait,
what are the highs? What are the highs? Let's do it.
You're changing the topic. You're changing the topic. We're not taking the College Dropout to task over skits, especially given that they're great skits.
That's true.
Okay,
Okay,
especially
fine.
given that they're great skits.
Okay, let me throw something else out. Okay, Kanye West versus Eminem. Better rapping performance.
Oh yeah, Eminem's a better, like technically speaking, he's a better rapper.
Okay, better highs on the album,
Okay,
like-
listen, I think the highs on the College Dropout are higher, even if we can attribute a lot of those highs just to not simply them being from Kanye. He's bringing in other people are writing for him. If we're talking like purely from the standpoint of like the lone creative, that sort of thing, it's Eminem. Like a lot of the College Dropout it can be attributed to the talent of other people kind of coming in and kind of making, ends meet for Kanye, but he at least had the knowledge and the self-awareness to know who to bring in to close those gaps. You know what I mean? And I feel like at the end of the day, I think he came out with the better record.
Yeah, and I think the same way that you could say that like no other rapper could have made a song like Stan, like no one else could have made Jesus Walks
Or Through the Wire.
You know what I mean? So like, yeah, Through the Wire. That's another song that is just from a background point of view, and to know what was recorded with his fucking wired, with his jaw wired shut. Like it's insane.
Okay, we get it. Show me the spiel, Lou. College Dropout advances. Miseducation versus Illmatic.
Don't be salty.
Illmatic.
Illmatic versus over
I'd probably
Miseducation.
say Illmatic too.
Would you do? Wait, what were you contemplating? The low end theory, or Miseducation? You'd still do the lower end theory over Miseducation?
Yeah, I think so.
Well, yeah, because if you find that better than Illmatic, so I
Yeah.
guess that sort of applies here. That's crazy. The College Dropout makes it all the way to the semis.
Yeah, that's nuts.
Okay, 36 Chambers is Ready to Die. Ready to Die, bro. It's time. It's time to let go.
It's tough.
It's time to let go. I know Fantano's Wu-Tang presence is definitely going to be a
I
fight.
know.
He's going for the two Wu-Tang. Yeah.
Listen, Biggie is like my favorite rapper of all time, and I have to bring it in here. I have to bring it in. I love how it's a cycle of fucking birth to death. You know what I mean? Even looking at a song like Suicidal Thoughts and how deep he ended up getting. Yeah, it's a beautiful like gangster rap album that is so nuanced, I feel like. And I love 36 Chambers. I think it's just like a creative spark that really set the tone for like hardcore East Coast hip hop in the 90s. But maybe more the groundbreaking album, but I go Ready to Die here.
I mean, I wouldn't take away from Ready to Die to say that it's not groundbreaking.
For sure.
Know? But I mean, 36 Chambers has its, vulnerable moments too. It has tears.
It does.
And it's not just the GFK bias. There's a RZA bias. There's also an ODB bias as well.
A Method Man bias.
There's a bias in all their direction. But like, I think to the point that you were just making, like, what's the more focused, kind of better crafted album? And the thing is, like, as amazing as 36 Chambers is, as great as that album came out, like, it's very hard to craft a narrative and develop sort of like a vocal focus when there's just so many people involved.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And the thing is, like, you do really kind of feel like, and look, and if you want that kind of thing, but still have that Wu-Tang vibe, that's why the solo records exist. You know what I mean? Like, you get that so much more on Raekwon's solo stuff and on Ghostface's solo stuff and so on and so forth. So, 36 Chambers is a different energy. Like you said, it's like the really well-recorded cipher,
Yeah.
Whereas like the Biggie record feels like more of a complete vision of somebody's inner mind. You know what I mean? So I think we can go with that one.
Yeah, we'll go with Ready to Die on this one. Okay, where are we at on the next one?
Last four here, right?
Yeah, this is going to be the last four.
Wow.
Well, hold on a second. No, we still have to do Supreme Clientele versus T-Pab. That's easy. That's going to be Pimp A Butterfly.
Yeah, probably T-Pab, yeah.
Yeah, that's easy money.
For sure.
All right, this is the semis, okay? Last final four albums. The College Dropout versus Illmatic.
For a spot in the finals.
Yeah, it's time to get rid of the College Dropout.
Yeah. I'm
Yeah,
with
we
that.
can go Illmatic.
You would go Illmatic too?
Would you? Would you actually?
Yeah.
Would you have gone the low end theory or Illmatic?
I probably would have gone low end theory.
Wow.
Well, we answered that already. We answered that.
Oh, it's true. My bad. I
like,
thought we
in round
compared it
three.
versus something else. Okay.
Yeah. Okay, so that's good advance, and then after that, Ready to Die versus T-Pab. That's pretty easy too. I do Pimp A Butterfly.
Yeah.
Okay. Decided.
Okay, there we go. Finals, ladies and gentlemen.
Done.
Illmatic versus T-Pab.
Yeah, this was fucking
God.
predictable. Like, I don't know about you guys, but like I knew this is where we were gonna end up. Was gonna be these two.
And they often are like regarded as the best. I have a winner on my page. I think I, know
already
where we're
know. Yeah, like I'm gonna be on the other side of the spectrum, and you guys are on the other one, and I get it. I just feel like you could erase every hip hop album in its entirety and just start with Illmatic, and that has all of the proper like groundwork to build upon. And
Right.
But yeah, Pimp A Butterfly wins the bracket, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Anthony twice.
Kendrick wins.
Yeah,
God.
Kendrick's gonna win this. I'll
God,
explain,
we're so
like,
predictable.
it was predictable. But you know what? Like, there's a lot of matchups in here that deserve like a lot of good shouts. Like the College Dropout versus Matt Villainy conversation. That was an interesting one. 36 Chambers versus Ready to Die. Your explanation, Anthony, on that was great. Then after that, Daytona versus Hell Hath No Fury. I don't want to play with you
I'm
anymore.
never going to let you guys live that down. That's horrible.
Fantano's never recording with us again for that one. And then the finals was pretty predictable. I think once you got to the semis, you had a clear picture of who was going to win this. But guys,
Wait. I want to ask you guys this, okay?
Go.
Because obviously you guys voted for To Pimp a Butterfly to win the bracket, but is it truly the best rap album of all time for you guys, or like would the low end theory maybe have won over it? Let's say.
It definitely would have been a competition. I think T-Pab is still kind of like the
one.
more ambitious creative work comparatively. Yeah, it kind of just brings everything to the table.
I agree. And it was my number one when we did the episode, so that was pretty simple for me.
The thing is, like, if we're bringing back low end theory versus T-Pab, I mean, even Good Kid, Mad City versus low end theory is like a
crazy
is a
matchup.
conversation.
It
in
is
my mind,
100%.
The fact that he has two of those in his catalog is pretty
the
stupid.
only reason that album didn't advance as far as this point is because it was versus T-Pab earlier
Yeah.
in the bracket. You know what I mean? And it says something for Kendrick to have 2 albums at least in his discography that are like on that level, to where they're in a conversation, in that way with so many classics.
Yeah. Amazing stuff.
agree.
But yeah, guys, that is going to conclude this episode. Best rap album bracket of all time. Thank you guys for tuning in. And if it's your first time watching an NFR video, make sure to smash that subscribe button. We're doing content like this on a weekly basis. And of course, thank you to Anthony Fantano. You guys know where to find him. He's the GOAT. We'll see you guys soon. Peace out.